Hey folks, and welcome back to the channel for an update on Project Zomboid's latest blog post, which targets the multiplayer side of the game and is bringing in a massive wave of fixes, improvements, and new implementations. If you enjoy the video and want to help support me, drop it a like and subscribe to the channel. It seriously helps me keep doing this, so if you choose to do so, thank you very much. You can also catch me live over on Twitch at twitch.tv/MrAtomicDuck at weekends if you want to catch me live for some questions. Alright, so on the 28th of April, the new Project Zomboid blog update dropped. Now, I'll put a disclaimer here that most of the stuff in this update isn't absolutely game-changing. There are some pretty cool new additions, and there's a lot to cover here, but the additions and changes themselves are what I would consider to be pretty minor. If you're interested in viewing the full blog post or the full change list detailing everything in this update, you can find links for both of those in the description. Now, I know there's a lot of people that have been experiencing stability issues with multiplayer, and one of the biggest ones out there right now that's been around since its release is the car physics. Up until now, cars have been a bit janky at the best of times, but at worst they start to rubber band to the point where collisions happen and players die because of it. In this update, 41.69, car physics have been significantly improved according to the blog post. There's also some anti-cheat fixes, admin improvements, better handling of dead bodies, and some loose fixes to do with safe houses and PvP. Oh, and grass can't go through your safe house floors anymore, which is always nice, despite how much I'm being told to touch grass. We're also told that the VHS issues have been fixed, where previously we could only watch VHS tapes the once. This has now been resolved, and we can watch them and gain the XP from them with each new life, as intended. For anyone on Steam Deck, there's been a raft of compatibility improvements to the game. In terms of what's new, we've been told that there's a lot of new items to find, including 2 mannequin items that will allow us to play dress up in our bases. One of them is a scarecrow, which is likely being added now to fit nicely with the upcoming animal ranching coming to the game in the future, and lab skeletons. You can add clothing to both of these items and show them off to other players. The developers also mention a spotlight on food and recipes, so there's probably going to be some recipe changes and new additions as well, which will be nice to have a play around with when we get in game. Some 3D models have been updated, and there's some new hairstyles that have been added to the game as well. We've also seen the return of the stubble facial hair option. There's a few small quality of life changes that have been made, including the ability to move your minimap around the screen instead of it just being static, some renamed skill books, and better item placement, to name just some of the improvements that have been made so far. For all of you modders out there, and I admit that this means little to me, there's a new and improved tag system for modding, as well as other, and I quote here, general mod size improvements. I don't know what that means, but I hope that means something to you guys. Now, next are some sound changes and additions. I've loved some of the work that has come from the formerly Noiseworks Formosa UK team, and they've been hard at work producing some more ambient sounds for the game. The biggest of these are some new ambient music tied to specific buildings, and some effects for when the power and water shut off happens. We were given a couple of clips for these in the blog, so go ahead and take a listen. That isn't the only thing that's been added in the sound department though, with some new barbecue, campfire, and fireplace sounds when it comes to cooking, as well as some more zombie thumps and thuds when they're being pushed over. Sounds have been improved with regards to whether they are generated outside or inside in relation to doors and windows being open at the time, which I can imagine will be a nice touch for some immersion. There's a whole host of general fixes in this one, and the devs have encouraged players to check out build 41.69 and helped to test these to see if there's any issues with the build that can be reported to add to that fix list. You can do this by right-clicking on your game in your Steam library, selecting properties, going to betas, and then select the correct version from the drop-down list. Now, the last thing I did just want to visit with regards to this update was the upcoming work on build 42 and 43. Now, work is still ongoing with the implementation of farm animals, but we also got some work-in-progress models for wild animals with this blog post. So, we know there's going to be deer deer walking around the woods for us to go and hunt when this update drops in the distant future. Work is also being done with wild animal AI at the moment, as well as with the models involved. Now, this part is something I'm really excited to share with you guys, and it's in regards to the fishing overhaul coming to Project Zomboid. We were given a 4-minute video on the blog post showing off a whole range of new fishing features and changes, such as different lines and hooks being interchangeable for fishing rods with different impacts on your fishing results. There's some water splashes to indicate the rough location of schools of fish to try and catch now, and you can now catch random items in your fishing nets too. As always, there's some more stuff to be found on the blog post, and I won't play the full 4-minute clip of the fishing changes, so if you want to check that out, there's a link in the description. And that's it from me today, guys, but thank you very much for watching, and whilst I've got you, tell me what you're excited for most from the update in the comments. I'd love to hear from you on what you're looking forward to. Special shout out to all of my patrons for supporting the channel and joining me on our whitelisted Zomboid server. There's a link for that in the description. Thanks guys, and I will see you all in the next one.